Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Optimizing WellSaid Studio, Teams, Workflows, Collaborations, and Best Practices. We are so excited to be able to have you here today. My name is Kimaya Sharp. I am a part of our marketing team here at WellSaid, focusing specifically on customer marketing, and I will be moderating today's session. So while we are gearing up, and before I introduce my lovely colleague that you see here, I would love for everyone to comment in the chat and to tell us where they are from and what you do so that we can see who is here with us today. And while you're doing that, as I mentioned, I'm going to introduce this lovely lady here, Miss Marta Attar from our customer success team. How are you doing today?
I am just lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you here. And where are you from? So everyone knows in the chat where you're calling
Yep, I am calling in from Denver, Colorado, and I was just telling Kimaya before this weekend it was snowing, but this upcoming weekend's going to be about 80 degrees, so I'm going to be a happy girl and starting to see the summertime coming in
you.
shortly.
Yeah, well, I feel like
So Kimaya,
it's exact opposite here because you
yeah,
said it's starting to feel like summer. I am in Florida, so it's 80 degrees here all the time.
I love that.
So today we kind of have our gloominess happening. It's a rainy day, but just the same. Sunshine typically throughout the time. So again, welcome everyone. And
And
uh,
Kimaya, I don't think that the chat is turned on for everyone.
no,
It looks
let's
like came into the Q&A. If you're able to quickly turn on the chat, all good. But if not, we can just kind of move forward. And if people have questions or want to participate, they can always just throw things into the Q&A.
all right, sounds good. Let's see here. Is it? mm, There we go. So that should have the chat on for you all. And we can try that again. I see KC, we have Seattle. There we go. It's working now. Awesome.
Yay.
Woohoo. All right, amazing. So, Marta, you are part of our customer success team. And as our customer success expert, you have been able to help countless of teams streamline their workflows, collaborate more efficiently, and even maximize on the power of voice. So, ladies and gentlemen, she knows all the the strategies, the tips, the tricks, all the things to make sure that you're working smarter and not harder. And she's going to be sharing that with you today during our live demo. And I'm seeing more call outs coming in. I saw Charlotte, Jacksonville, Kentucky, Manhattan, awesome. Georgia, some great locations. I'm actually a native North Carolinian, so shout out to Charlotte. Great things there. And thank you all so much for your responses. Now, kind of getting into what everyone came here for today, optimizing your studio. And I will let you all know that this is what we will be able to expect from today's session. So, we're going to be able to do a deep dive into our studio and our team's features so that you can see firsthand how they can optimize your workflow. We're also going to bring you a live demonstration, or I should say, Marta will be bringing you a live demonstration to show some key features within our platform. And lastly, just bringing it all together with some best practices for success. Should you have any questions throughout this experience, feel free to drop them in our Q&A section or in the chat, whatever you feel most comfortable with doing, and we'll make sure that we're answering as many as we can towards the end of this experience. And be sure to stay until the end because there is a sneak peek for what will be coming next with WellSaid, introducing you to the next phase or the next webinar that we have coming up. All right. So here at WellSaid, we are definitely passionate about being able to push the boundaries of voice technology and helping teams just like yours to be able to create high quality, natural sounding voiceovers with ease. And we could not make the impact that we have without our amazing customers team who work so closely with you all every single day. So I want to give a huge shout out to our customers team here at WellSaid. And Marta, specifically your team, the customer success team, you really do play a key role in just helping the community with getting the most out of their WellSaid experience. So, do you mind just sharing just a little bit about how customer success supports our community and what they can expect with working with you and your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So, thank you so much for that intro too. I'm like, wow,
You're
we are important, right?
You
So
are.
the customer success team over here at WellSaid, we have three lovely customer success managers who own book of businesses of their customers to really help give them that kind of white glove service through their experience with WellSaid. That starts off with an in-depth onboarding call where we'll walk through best practices specific to your brand, your industry, and really start becoming that kind of trusted advisor, not only walking you through how WellSaid can be used to the best of its ability, but really kind of being that consultant in the AI voice industry as well. So definitely something to look forward to if you're on a team in the business or enterprise level tiers. Also, I have to give a huge shout out to our product support team. We have a lovely group of people who are available via chat at 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. Also, we have a support email, support@wellsaidlabs.com, that anyone has access to, can reach out to with any questions. You don't need a quick support on pronunciation or anything like that. We got your back.
Yes, and thank you for shouting out the support team because they are phenomenal. Just a great resource and avenue for anyone who is looking for any assistance with being able to find a viable solution during their time in content creation. I mean, I think that's going to be a great segue into just finding out a little bit more about what everybody is looking to solve with today's session. What do you think, Marta?
That sounds lovely.
All right. So we do have a poll question for everyone, and you are able to select your responses from it. Let me make sure that we can pull up our poll here. All right. And would you mind reading that poll question for the audience, Marta?
Yes. So the audience poll is, what aspect of team collaboration is most important for your team when working on voice-based projects?
Awesome. So with that, we have maintaining a consistent brand voice, speed and efficiency in generating content, seamless team collaboration and sharing, and then also integrating AI voice into existing workflows. So we'll give just a few more minutes for those responses to come in. And I see that we have a bit of a tie, kind of, neck and neck with a couple of those. Are you surprised at all by the outcome that we're seeing right now, Marta?
Yeah, so as people are still answering, I hate to be biased, but my my favorite feature about team collaboration is the ability to share the different projects that you're working on. In particular, I think it's great that you can share content in the different projects with the other teammates that you're working with who have access to WellSaid, so you can work on those projects dynamically together. You know, if Kimaya and I had a project due by the end of day, we can work on it together to make sure that we hit that deadline. However, I also love too that you can actually create a public URL of your projects and share that with people that even don't have access to WellSaid. So this is a great option to share with maybe your boss who wants to give that final stamp of approval before you create this for your client. Or if you are creating content for your clients, you can share it with them to make sure that you're choosing the right voice for their brand and everything like that. So that would be my whole
Your
answer,
bias.
but they're all right.
Yes, yes. And I see that there's a lot with speed and efficiency in generating content. So that is something I'm sure we will highlight throughout the webinar today. But thank you all so much for your responses there within our poll so that we get a better insight or a better view into what it is that you're looking to be able to solve with this. So I think with that, Marta, I think it's just perfect to go ahead and just get started with the demo. We can get into the platform, the Teams workspace, where we've designed a lot of key capabilities to really help streamline production workflows. So maybe, like I said, we can just dissect some of those along the way.
Yes, I love it. Thank you so much. So, as I go through this, I'll definitely be kind of pausing throughout, making sure that people are engaged in the chat. So, I'd love for this to be as collaborative as possible. I will save questions for the end. So, feel free as questions come up as I'm going throughout to just put those in the Q&A button rather than the chat, just to make sure nothing gets kind of lost in the shuffle. But otherwise, I'm just going to jump on in. And to kind of give you a quick overview of what to expect over the next 30-ish minutes of what we'll be covering, I'll be starting highlighting projects and workspaces, then going into auditioning the different voices, show a little bit of studio best practices and our replacements, Oxford language integration, and then ending with integrations and resources. So this is going to be jam-packed next 30-ish minutes. So to kick things off though, like Kimayo just kind of pointed out, our projects, workspaces, and sharing capabilities really all help with team collaboration as well as internal organization. One thing that I was really excited to highlight today is our new functionality of workspaces that's available for our enterprise customers. And workspaces allows you to really organize the content that you're creating in a more sophisticated way, breaking these out by different teams, your personal workspaces or team workspaces. What I have highlighted here right now is by default, your workspaces will include personal, team, and shared. Personal will only, or is the default workspace that only you have access to. Nobody else can listen to that content, view, or edit. You also have your team workspace, and when you add projects, files, and folders to this workspace, everyone will be able to view it, but you can set up different kind of capabilities for access. If you just want people to view it, or if you want to give them full editing and downloading capabilities. And then we also have our shared workspace, which would be just a couple teammates. So if I wanted to just work on a project with Kimaya, for example, I can create a workspace, share it just with her, and it'll display there. What's mostly exciting though is these custom workspaces. We can see that I've set up a customer success, L&D, marketing, and product workspace. This is just a great way to kind of organize your content by different departments. So as an admin on a team, I would have capabilities to go in and create these workspaces. All I would need to do is select new workspace, and then I can name it. So if I want to maybe create a workspace for the sales team, I would just name this as sales. I can give it a fun color. We'll give them yellow. And then you can see below here as who has access. I can just edit exactly who's on the sales team and then add them to that team. So let's say Ava's on my sales team. I'm going to update that, add her, create workspace. And then it'll display here for my sales team to be able to go into and create all of their different content. When you're within these different workspaces, you then have the capability to kind of create a bit more sophisticated organization as well. So I can go in and select new, and then now I have the ability to create different projects and folders. If I'm creating a folder, I would just call this, customer. Oops, of course, when people are watching me type, I can never figure out how to spell. Customer demos, create folders, and then I can start creating projects within this folder just to kind of help with that internal organization. And from there, I do have the capabilities to go in and open those different projects. I can rename them, I can move them to different folders. And again, just kind of helping not make the folders and projects too overwhelming for our larger teams. So if this is something that you're interested in, I definitely recommend reaching out to our team, making sure that you're on our enterprise tier, and you'll be able to create a lot of different lovely workspaces in folders. So kind of going back to projects as well, one thing that I like to highlight is, like I was sharing, those sharing capabilities. So if I go in here and I'm looking at a project right now, I can select share. And this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, one of my favorite functionalities of the public URL. I could copy this URL, and then this is what I'd be able to share with anyone who even doesn't have access to WellSaid, show this to my clients, share this with my boss. Or if people do have access to WellSaid, I could select add team members and then add any of my lovely teammates to start working on that project with me dynamically. So lovely. Moving right along. So after going through projects, one thing that I always like to highlight when you're first logging into WellSaid is auditioning the different avatars and the different voices, excuse me. So one thing that I always like to, really set the stage when I'm logging into WellSaid is you really have to think of yourself as a director. And just like you'd be directing a real voice actor, you need to do the same with our avatars and our different voices. Really, though, in being a director, the first step in all this is being a casting director and auditioning the different avatars to find the right sound that works best for you, your brand, and your script. So as I go into the voices stage, I can see all 139 different voices that we have available. As we scroll through here, we can see a tile of who these people are, their name, the language they speak, and the country of origin. I can also see the drop down of the different styles that they have available. So before kind of going into that, I always like to have a quick pause. And if people want to share who their favorite avatars are, I always love to see it. And so please let me know who your favorites are that work best for you and your brand and whatnot. Throw that into the chat. And as you're doing that, Kimaya, I always have to ask you, who's your favorite?
Well, if I had to pick a favorite, that's tough. But I would probably go with Jordan. Jordan's definitely a top contender there for me.
Mhm.
She just has amazing presence. I think she's kind of got this nice calmness to her. So really
Yep.
enjoy Jordan.
100%. And so Jordan is rising to be my number two.
Ooh, we
But
already know who number one is.
I know, I make this joke every year, every webinar, but my favorite is Tobin, so I agree with Anda there. There's just something about him. I'm starting to spread a rumor kind of about myself that I have a crush on him. So don't let it get too weird like I've let it get, but Jordan's sliding in there. There's something about her as well. So, you know, I'm playing the field, keeping my options open. So
Playing the field.
yeah, my poor husband that works in the other room, he's like, "Who's this Tobin and
Who's
Jordan
this
that you
Tobin
keep
guy?
talking about?"
So I see
Um,
Ramona and Gia came up as well. Those are some really good ones. Gia came up twice, and I see in standard.
yep,
So yeah, and
yep.
there's mention of Caruso there. So we're actually going to talk about that a little bit later.
Yep, absolutely. Yes, me and Tobin forever in a tree. So I'll leave it at that. But yes, it's always just fun to see who people's favorite voices are. We're constantly adding new avatars and voices to our platform as well. And so if you're ever thinking of a different voice that you need, different style, different demographic, language, anything like that, always please feel free to write into us. Our voice team in particular takes that feedback and helps build out our roadmap on which voices that we should be adding to our platform moving forward. So if anything ever comes to mind, always let us know, and hopefully we're able to add those to Studio. So, to kind of take a step back here as well as we're going through the different voices, some tips and tricks to kind of help you narrow down what kind of voice works best for you and in your brand. You can use our filtering functionality over here on the right-hand side. You can filter by gender, you can filter by performance styles, which we'll get into in just a second. The different regional accents, as you can see, we're definitely adding quite a few, a lot of different English speaking accents, as well as different US speaking accents. Voice characteristics. This is actually one of my favorite filter functionalities to really help you kind of match the tone of the script that you're going for. If you want something kind of fun and upbeat and really getting people going, maybe go in here and filter by charismatic, and then I'll display all the different avatars that we have that are identify as charismatic. Also, you can filter by the different versions. So another thing to highlight here is that we do have 5 different languages that are available at our enterprise tier, and that is French, German, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish. So as I'm kind of going through here and checking out the different avatars, another thing to note is that you can do a quick preview to kind of get a highlight of what they sound like before really going in, maybe auditioning them with your own scripts and whatnot. So one avatar that I know is a huge favorite amongst the crowd is Wade, and for good reason. Wade is absolutely phenomenal. And he's one of our OG voices and does have 3 of our main different styles. So to kind of give you a quick preview, I'll show how this works and share a bit of some use cases for each of these styles. So first, if I want to preview Wade on his narration style, all I would do is select play here.
The last album from a celebrated artist is a time to reflect on their entire catalog. Today, we'll talk about the discography of John Coltrane.
Great. So narration is definitely one of our most popular styles. As you can tell, it's very professional sounding and great in e-learning or online training content. Next, we have promo. Let's have a quick preview.
Try the great new taste of chocolate. Available at your local grocer.
Great. And promo, promotional, a bit more commercial sounding, great in marketing content that you might be creating for your customers, as well as promo is awesome for just wanting to add that additional energy and enthusiasm, even for e-learning or online training content. And then finally, conversational.
It's important to let the dough rise for up to an hour. Placing the dough in a warm area of your home can help the process along.
Great. And conversational is rising to be one of our most popular styles as well. It is definitely kind of the most natural sounding with how you'd be speaking with a friend or colleague. So also great in that e-learning or online training or any kind of learning development content that you might be creating. So great. As we kind of go through this auditioning process, it's great to have those quick previews of the different voices, but I do recommend actually using the avatars in Studio to really get that full idea of what they sound like using your own scripts. So let's say I really want to do some additional auditioning. Maybe I've narrowed it down to Wade and Lorenzo. I can jump back into Studio and start creating content using those avatars. So if I want to make sure that I have Lorenzo selected, for example, I can select See All, search for Lorenzo's name, and then open up my Studio project using Lorenzo. From here, as y'all know, all I would need to do is copy my script from my other monitor over here, paste it into the Studio editor, select Create Single Take, and then whenever I select Create Single Take, our machine learning technology is making an assumption on how to pronounce this script as human-like as possible to make sure that there's correct pronunciation and accuracy. And as I was just talking, the clip is created in just a matter of seconds. So let's have a quick preview of how Lorenzo sounds using my own script.
Join our voice actor program and benefit from our ethical approach to AI voice. Our voice actors receive royalties for recording their dataset as well as every time their voice is being used. Every time a customer renders content with your synthetic voice,
Great.
you earn commission.
And so Lorenzo absolutely nailed it, said it right the first time. And Lorenzo is fantastic. He is one of our newer voices to the platform, and he is one of our Mexican origin actors. So it's great to see that, accent adds some flavor to the kind of content that I'm creating. So in this example, like I said, Lorenzo said it right the first time. I don't need to make any additional adjustments here. So what I would do if I know that this clip is going to be used in my final draft is I would just rename this as voice actors or however I would like. And then it's ready to be downloaded and used in my post-production. One thing that I am very excited to highlight as well is once I'm ready to download this clip, we actually just introduced the new capability of closed captioning yesterday, I believe. So brand new, very excited. I know a lot of y'all have been asking for this feature for a long time. So we're super excited to release it into Studio. What this does is once I turn on include closed captioning, I can select the SRT file or the VTT file, and then this will just download as a zip file along with the actual MP3, WAV, or OGG file as well. So from there, I want to download it as an SRT, download, and then it'll be used or going into my folder and then used for my post-production in Captivate or Camtasia or whatever y'all use. So we're very excited for that. One thing to note as well is sometimes maybe you don't want to have that notification every time that you want to download it as an SRT file. You know that you always need closed captioning. You can go to our, excuse me, I need to move the annotate button. Oh, there we go. Oh no, oops. Sorry, y'all, bear with me one second. Oh, the annotate button is, oh, there it goes. Sorry, thanks for dealing with me. The annotate was like covering my button, so I couldn't click on it. But there we go. You can click on account settings and then go into settings, and then you can turn on global download. If I want to enable this, I know that every time I download clips, I want it to be an MP3 file. I also want to include captioning, closed captioning as an SRT file. I can have those both selected. So then by default, it will always download as an MP3 file with the SRT. And so I don't need to kind of make that selection every single time. So just kind of save you a few extra clicks, which I find incredibly helpful. Great. So now let's say I need to create a different clip for my post-production. And like I said, I know I'm showing a lot of favoritism these days, but I'm just going to keep the ball rolling and use Jordan for this second clip. I am reaching outside the box and not using Tobin every time, so I know Kimai is proud of me. But let's use Jordan for this clip. I'm going to select create single take, and then as I'm generating that, we can listen to this as is, but just know sometimes, you know, even though our voices are beautiful and amazing, and Jordan, I do have a crush on you, it might not be perfect every single time. So what do we need to do when we need to make some kind of minor adjustments? Let's have a listen to it just as is, and then I can kind of break down some of those suggestions.
We're excited to announce our extension for Adobe Premiere Pro users is now available. With this extension, Adobe users with our business or enterprise accounts can directly access our studio projects within Premiere Pro, streamlining the editing process and enhancing workflow. Access audio clips without having to download or re-upload files. Just create, drag, and drop.
Okay, great. So Jordan, love ya, you're amazing. Doesn't know how to pronounce Adobe. And you know what? That is totally okay. Super quick adjustment to make sure that this is pronounced exactly how I'd like moving forward. All I would need to do is copy the word Adobe, and then over here on the new replacements, I can select the drop down, place the word into the original text field, and original text will always be the correct spelling of the word, acronym, or phrase. And then I would need to select suggestions, and then this powers our Oxford Languages integration. And this pretty much pairs our machine learning technology with Oxford Languages to provide the correct respelling to get it pronounced exactly how I would like. I can have a quick preview to make sure
Adobe.
exactly how I'd like. Adobe sounded perfect. I select add, it populates into my replacement field here, and then I can save to team. Before I select save to team, one thing to highlight here is that you do have two different options if you are on a team subscription to save this to your personal pronunciation library, so you'd be the only person who has access to it, or to save this to your team library. By default, and just by best practice, I do recommend saving this to your team library. This just ensures if I'm going in and creating a lot of different pronunciations for, you know, my industry, for a brand, a lot of different industry specific acronyms, things like that, and then save this to my team. This will ensure when Kimaya goes in to create her content, she'll have it all saved automatically and won't need to recreate any of the work that I just created. So saves her a ton of time, and I'm Kimaya's new best friend, which
Yes, you are. Thank you, Marta.
I've been striving for a long time now, right?
Right.
But I'm already your best friend though, even before saving it to my team, right?
Correct. Of course. Of course.
Yep. Cool. And so from here, I select save to team, and then that's added to my pronunciation library. So whenever Adobe comes up in my future scripts, it will always be pronounced like Adobe. One other thing to note here too is in my text editor, we can see that Adobe is now highlighted, and that's just letting me know that pronunciation is turned on for that particular word. You always have the ability to turn off pronunciation for words, in particular in your text editor. You can also save multiple different pronunciations for a single word and select which pronunciation that you would like. So the other joke that I always like to make is, you know, say words like caramel versus caramel. If you're a crazy person and think it's pronounced like caramel, You can have both different pronunciations in there and select which one you want. Obviously, the correct pronunciation is caramel, and I only slightly judge you if you pronounce it the other way. So just know you can have multiple different pronunciations for a single word, and this can kind of help with different like regional preferences and things like that as well. And I swear I won't judge you too much. Another thing to note as well, when we listened to the script the first time, I thought most of it was perfect besides the pronunciation of Adobe. I did want to kind of emphasize how she pronounced Adobe Premiere Pro in that first script. So whenever I want a small word or phrase to be emphasized, I just put quotation marks around it, and that lets our technology know to add that additional punch there. So with those minor adjustments, what I do is just create an additional take, and then it's ready to go. So let's have a quick listen to make sure it's exactly how I would like.
We're excited to announce our extension for Adobe Premiere Pro users is now available. With this extension, Adobe users with our business or enterprise accounts can directly access our studio projects within Premiere Pro, streamlining the editing process and enhancing workflow. Access audio clips without having to download or re-upload files. Just create, drag, and drop.
Chef's kiss, Jordan. That second draft, yeah. Round of applause for Jordan. That was exactly how I would like, which was great. So couple additional best practices in this scenario as well. If you know you have a first take that you're not going to be using in your final production, I always recommend going in deleting that clip. This ensures that you get that credit back to your account if you did not download it. This also just helps with your own internal organization. So I just delete that first draft, and then from here I will rename the clip as Adobe Final Draft. And then it's ready to go for me to either download this clip or use it however I'd like. Before jumping into some integrations, one last thing I like to highlight is, going in here and how just adding the new pronunciations. You always have the capabilities to go back to libraries and make any adjustments or just view the full library that you have access to. So if I'm scrolling down here, I can see all of the different words that I've added to my pronunciation library. Adobe in particular, I can always go in here and make edits, add additional replacements to that word, delete if I need to, and also look at the different personal, team, or my entire library itself. So great. Next, kind of gave a quick preview to it as well, but our integrations. So Adobe Premiere Pro is what I want to highlight today, but one thing to note is that we do have integrations for Adobe Premiere, Adobe Express, and Canva. So I highly recommend going in and playing around with those, especially if you are using those in your kind of day-to-day workflow. But in particular, I wanted to highlight Adobe Premiere. So what I'm going to do right now is open up Adobe Premiere and show you exactly how that integration works. So now I'm just going to jump to Adobe Premiere. And if you're an Adobe Premiere user, you are going in and creating the different content that you have available. Let's say in this particular project that I'm creating, I have the image already uploaded here for my WellSaid voiceover extension for Adobe Premiere Pro. But now I need to go in and add that voiceover. All you'll need to do is select window on the top right, and I'm not sure if you can see it with how my screen is shared, but if you have Adobe Premiere open, you select window, extensions, WellSaid, and then the WellSaid extension will appear. You can see that we display the 3 different workspaces of personal, shared, and team. I know I created that optimizing WellSaid Studio just in my personal workspace, so I can select this here. I see the 2 different clips that I created and a plus button over here. Once I select that, it will insert the clip directly into my Adobe Premiere, and I can have a quick listen to make sure everything sounds as expected. So let's do that.
We're excited to announce our extension for Adobe Premiere Pro users is now available. With this extension, Adobe users with our business or enterprise accounts can directly access our studio projects within Premiere Pro, streamlining the editing process and enhancing workflow. Access audio clips without having to download or re-upload files. Just create, drag, and drop.
Woo. Good job, Jordan. So great. So that's definitely something that we're super excited about. And just integrations overall is something that our team is constantly trying to update and prioritize. So if you are working with different programs and would love a WellSaid integration, please reach out to us and let us know. And that just kind of helps with our prioritization for product roadmap moving forward. So great. I'm going to jump back into Studio here. So one last thing that I always like to highlight too, oh, and actually before doing that, the send feedback, I know I was just mentioning, this will allow you to speak really directly with our product team. And so always feel free to reach out by selecting that send feedback button and let us know what kind of integrations you want us to build. Let us know what new voices you want to be added to the platform. We're always happy to hear that. So yes, last thing to note is what to do when you need help. So kind of at the beginning, I mentioned our lovely customer success managers, as well as our product support team. So one thing or a couple other things to note if you want some additional help, and maybe it's kind of off working hours or the weekend or things like that, and you want to be a little self-sufficient, you could always go to our resources page, and this will display some helpful tutorials as well as navigate you directly to our help center, which our product support team works on very hardly, and they absolutely crush it. So going in here, maybe looking up some best practices for pronunciation or the different voices, always have that available. You can also use our chat functionality, which is available between 9 and 4, or excuse me, 4, or oh gosh, 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time, Monday through Friday. I should have just opened it so I could read it out right there. And so this will connect you with a lot of helpful resources, and then also take you to an actual human, our product support team, if you need that additional support. So we see that Jessica would be ready to answer my questions if I needed her. And then finally, always feel free to reach out to your dedicated customer success manager if you have one, or the support@wellsaidlabs.com email. Okay, great. So those were the main things that I wanted to cover today. Kimaya, I would love for us to jump into some Q&A now, if that works.
That 100% works. Let's hop into our Q&A. I know that our amazing support team has been assisting us with making sure we get a lot of those questions answered. So thank you. But I do believe that we have, I think it's one or two that we can answer live. So there's one now. Thank you, Marina. She has answered one for us, but we'll answer this one live. So the question comes from Brandon asking if voice cloning is available for the business plan customers.
Great. So voice cloning is not included in the business plan by default. However, we do have custom voice offerings that are available for enterprise, as well as kind of an additional purchase that you can have on your account. So definitely something that would be interesting or interested in reaching out to our sales team to chat a little bit more about what that would mean for you. And our custom voice offering, to just kind of share a little bit more about what that is it allows you to create a personalized voice that works for you and your brand and the content that you're creating. So especially if you want like a very specific demographic, or if you want maybe a more character style, a spooky clown or something like that. I don't know who would want that, but maybe a more radio style voice, things like that. We can create a custom voice for you, and always happy to share what that would look like. Great question.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. And then our next one, I think with you sharing all the tips and tricks that you have thus far, may be able to answer this one for us. So it comes from John asking if we get he says we get much better pronunciation and inflection if we render by sentence. It's more work, but better for us. Is that something that's typical?
Yeah, so what we see is anything below the 5,000 character limit will have kind of the same similar pronunciation accuracy. So as long as below 5,000 characters, creating by single take should give you that same pronunciation. But also is another reason to use the replacements functionality, making sure that you're saving that to the team to ensure that all the different words, industry specific words and whatnot are added to your library so it's pronounced correctly every time. Also, we are going to be highlighting Caruso here coming up. And so not to give too much of a spoiler there, but once Caruso, we have a second rendition coming later this month that will really help with pronunciation accuracy and inflection as well. And allows you to use cues, which is pacing, pitch, and pause I think I forgot one. In the different cues, but that will give you the best pronunciation accuracy and inflection as well.
Awesome. See, I knew you had the answer.
Yeah.
Marta's the rest of it. So some really great questions. Thank you all so much for your engagement, your curiosity. Marta, thank you for your expertise. It's just, to me, it's just really exciting to be able to see how invested everyone is into really, being able to maximize on their experience here with WellSaid. And I think we covered quite a bit today. We were able to get through best practices. We did some collaboration tips. We saw some integrations. And I just want to give you a huge thanks, Marta, for sharing all of your insight today with all of our customers within the WellSaid community and just bringing such great energy from you all. Again, thank you again for your participation and your thoughtful questions. Now, just to remind you all, with this webinar, you were registered, so you will receive a recording in your inbox soon. Keep an eye out for that. In addition, Marta did mention earlier that we would love to hear feedback from you. So there is an opportunity to be able to do that within our platform. Let us know what you think. Let us know what else you'd like to see within webinars. I know that there was a question that came up around some meetings that were taking place. So feel free to send that information to us so that we can use that to give you everything that you need within your experience. And lastly, if you are ready to be able to put all of these insights into action, please, as Marta mentioned before, do not hesitate to reach out to our team. We want to make sure that you're getting the best out of your WellSaid experience. And something else that Marta mentioned before we let you all go, before we wrap up, we want to give what we'll be calling within our webinars our WellSaid sneak peek to give you a look at what's coming next from WellSaid. So we are always trying to push the boundaries with our voice technology. And today we're going to pull the curtain back to show you something that I'm excited about. I know Marta hinted at it quite a few times, so I will stop talking and give you our WellSaid sneak peek.
Meet Caruso, the fastest, most advanced AI voice model ever. We've packed it with everything you need to create top-quality voiceovers in seconds. Say it right the first time.
So you heard him say it right the first time with our, there we go. Say it right the first time with Caruso, which is the next generation of AI voice for us. That is going to be our next webinar coming up on April the 15th. So if you have not registered, please feel free to do so. I believe that the link has made its way into the chat. If not, I will drop that. No worries. We've got you covered. There we go. So please make sure that you attend that because there's going to be some amazing information that is coming from other members of our WellSaid team. So we want to thank you again for joining us today. We cannot wait to see how much more amazing content you create with our platform. And until then, happy creating.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye, everyone.